Live from the backstretch at historic Saratoga Race Course, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow. Racing Across America is brought to you by Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. And the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. When you can't make it to the track, make it to the Clubhouse Racebook.
Morning and welcome to Racing Across America on a Thursday morning here at Saratoga. Again, a nice Thursday morning. The humidity is still here, and as it was yesterday, I said on the handicapping show earlier, we kind of lucked out weather-wise. About the middle of the card, there was a brief shower, came down a little bit for maybe 5 minutes or so. But talking to people who were relatively close later in the day, I ran into some people who said, "Man, where I was, 5 miles away, it poured." So we kind of lucked out here yesterday. But again, looks like a nice morning here on this Thursday. A little bit later on the show, we'll be joined by Kevin Cox, the Brooklyn Cowboy. We'll do a little handicapping with Kevin, and then David Donk will join us. Nice winner in the stakes yesterday, the Statue of Liberty Trail of Gold. We'll talk about that one and more with Dave. But as typical on a Thursday morning from the Daily Racing Forum, the rotation, Mike Welsh in the rotation this morning. Mike, good morning.
Good morning.
When you sat down, you said there was a notable work this morning.
Yeah, Water Barrio back on the tab today. And he looked good. He's had some really good works, some okay works, sprinkled out throughout the summer. Obviously, he's tailed off a little bit, and just kind of wondering what direction he's going in many ways, because his connections originally said they were going to head to the Pacific Classic for their next start, and now Safi's backtracking a little bit and saying he still may stay for the Jockey Club Go Cup. He had Irad aboard again today. He went a half in 47 in company over a track that's been pretty much on the dull side. Did it easy, galloped out nicely, so I thought it was a good day for him today. And again, I'm sure Dave Grenning was right back there with Safi afterwards to kind of see what the latest is, but I don't know if they're waiting on seeing who's going where, or just deciding whether they want to, put him on a plane and go all the way across country. If they do, their thought was to just keep him out there for the Breeders' Cup, not bring him back here again, which would make sense. So we'll see. I mean, which race, maybe we'll have more news after this work today.
Anything else notable this week in the mornings?
No, it's been quiet. Usually during the week, it is fairly quiet. Things will rev up. We did have about 70 works today, but things will get busier over the weekend, and of course all the Travers horses will get in one more lick over the next few days, including Sovereignty, who I'm not sure what day he's going. If you want to see him, he's always over on the Oklahoma side, usually at 7:30. My guess is Saturday, but I'm not quite sure if Bill is penciled in a day yet.
And that weather, I'm assuming, had no effect on workouts, right? Like I said, it was like a 5-minute shower yesterday.
Yeah, they did get a little lucky that it only lasted 5 minutes, because they were harrowing the track at that time, not sealing it. And if they'd got a heavy downpour for 10 or 15 minutes with a harrow track, it might have made a big difference. But fortunately,
interestingly, as the rain started, the water truck was coming down, and they got about halfway down the stretch. They started to pour. They turned the water off.
At least they did that. But at that point, you didn't know how long, because I was talking to some people, like you were saying, not too far from here. They said it was pouring for 20, 25 minutes where you couldn't see out, across the street. So if that had gotten here with the Harrow track, it could have been trouble for the rest of the card and even moving forward. But luckily it stopped about as quickly as it started, and everything went along just fine.
I want to do a little review before we do some preview. But in honor of you getting here, and the guys can fire up that first replay here, because we're going to watch a winner from Mike Welsh right across the street on Saturday night. Sits the pocket trip all the way around. It's Timely Bet, a Mike Welsh-owned runner, getting it done with
very, very small part. Actually,
with
a friend of mine that has been in trotters for a while that I've known for a long time. So he sold me a little tidbit of a couple of them just to have some interest while here during the summer. It's been a couple of years we've been doing it, and it's fun.
Wally Hennessy in the bike.
Well,
And
was.
the CAWs were all over you. Went off
just over
even money.
Yeah, I took about 200 to make them go even money from 5 to 2, I think.
But looked pretty good there on Saturday night. And as you say, you get the and you said a little later in the day. We've mentioned it before on here. Joe Sharp and Taylor Rice own a couple of horses, I guess. And
they had 2. I think they're down to 1. One of them got claimed, but I know they go over there. At least they were going over there regularly and getting in the bike themselves in the morning and driving around. I asked Jose if he was also inclined, and he said absolutely not. So,
yeah, probably a good idea there.
But I know Joe.
And
really
did you say
likes
Joe?
it.
Joe Source won Saturday night too.
Joe won one. I think it was last Saturday, the Saturday before. They won a couple, and they've got one in tomorrow. And I think they're in the second race, and this horse that we have is back in the third race tomorrow.
And that's the fun part about it. As you say, you come up here for a couple months in the summer, you can be over there kind of every week.
Yeah, and you run into a lot of guys from the flat track wind up over there, especially on Saturday night. Not so much during the week, but Saturday night, it's a fun place to go when the weather's nice, and you've got a great ice cream truck there.
I have to try.
Good way to celebrate a win was get a scoop of ice cream.
Everybody touts the ice cream truck for sure. But yeah, I was over there Saturday night as well, enjoying your victory. You had a nice little crowd over there rooting you on, and again sat the nice pocket trip and pulled out what we.
Yeah, I mean, one thing about that game I've learned quickly is that post position and the trip there are even more important than over here. But you really got to be lucky at the post position draw to start things out. You got to win 2 races. Supposedly, the old time harness guy says you got to win the post position draw, and then you got to win the race itself. So.
Yeah, it's been that way. A half-mile track, especially
at a half-mile track.
And you're a New England guy. We talked about that before. You started out, Suffolk and Rockingham, then the fairs and that kind of thing. You ever go to the harness tracks out in Foxborough or Scarborough?
Just as a fan, I did. Not Scarborough. I never made it there, but Foxborough was quite the place in the summer times there. It was like Pompano was down in Florida. I mean, they had the best racing at both those places at those times. Now Pompano is gone, unfortunately. A couple of years ago, they closed down. I mean, everything now, dog-wise and harness-wise, is gone in Florida. But, I mean, they used to get big crowds, especially on Saturday night, and they had those Claiming Crown races there, I remember, which were, equivalent to the Breeders' Cup in a way. I mean, again, I just went as a fan, playing horses, but it was fun. It was fun going there.
Yeah.
But when I was in college, we used to run up to Rockingham Park. They used to have trotters at night. Even
really?
Even Suffolk Downs had harness racing.
Oh, I didn't realize
we used to run over from the dorms at BU at Boston University. You got to go through the tunnel. You were there in about 8 minutes. So a few of us used to go over and have fun doing that too.
Now, when I was a kid,
that was a long time ago.
People know for years I was back and forth Maine and used to go to Scarborough Downs, and that was fun.
I actually got a chance to drive a trotter myself, a harness horse in the morning. My ex-wife worked with the harness doing the programs. Like I was a charcoaler for the thoroughbreds, and she was on the chart team for the harness, and her partner's boyfriend at the time, husband, was a driver, and he had the nerve to let me come out and sit in the bike one morning, go about 3 miles around there, and it was in the dead of winter too. It was about 12 degrees out. That was a big mistake on my part. I never did it again. But
were you able to keep the horse flat the whole way around?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did stay flat.
That would be my challenge, I think. Although some of the veterans, you don't have to.
Dave Grenning actually, I think, drove in some races. They had some
they used to
races, harness races. It might have been the Meadowlands for the media, and I think Dave actually drove in a few of those races.
Oh, I have to ask you about that. All right, let's get into some of the action from last weekend as well. I know you wrote about a couple of the races, and I pulled up the Saratoga Oaks, the Grand Motion Runner. Laura Lynn stayed undefeated under Kendrick Carmouche, and this was a nice performance in a race that number-wise I thought she might be a little bit light, but again she stays undefeated with the win in the Saratoga Oaks for Graham.
Yeah, this is the horse I wrote about, and this is the horse that won. You always like that when you're writing these stories that you land on the winner. But Graham has done a magnificent job with this horse. He had thought about at one point to take her to Ascot this summer. Said he got a little bit of cold feet when he saw how tough the race was maybe coming up. And as it turned out, a couple of the favorites scratched out of there. So he wasn't too happy about that. But as things turned out, he's taken the right path. And again, she stayed undefeated now, and I think she's heading to Kentucky Downs, where all these good turf horses are going to be going in the next few weeks with all that money they're giving away there. $2 million stakes, $1.5 million stakes. I mean, it's just it's going to hurt this place the last part of the meet. You just can't compete with that kind of money.
Yeah, the overlap is unfortunate.
And not only in the stakes, too. I mean, the maiden races are 180, the allowance races are 200 and change. And so if you got a grass horse, that's the place you want to be if you think you can be competitive in those races.
You get it. It's a quirky track, but when they put
you got to get a little lucky to win in some of those races with the big fields, the long stretch. But it's excellent racing. There's no doubt about it. And good for the bettors because they're all full fields.
Yeah.
And
it's a puzzle, I will say that.
It is. I mean, a lot of those races, we meet with turf racing anyway with big fields. You run the same race back, a month later, you get a completely different result depending on the trip and whatever. It's almost the same as the harness racing across the street. You run the same fields back against each other. You get different results because of the switch in post positions and the trips. And that's kind of the way it is with me with turf racing with those big fields.
One other one, speaking of the turf, 5.5 furlongs on the turf on Sunday was the Mahoney. You wrote about this one as well. The Belmont runner looked pretty good, spiced up, goes off at 9-2 under junior and gets it done. And gets it done under a turf sprinting, gets it done over a turf sprinting monster. Governor Sam runs second in here. So, beating that one. Nice performance by Spice Up.
Yeah, people after the race, someone said, "Boy, you don't usually have 5.5 furlong turf winners." And Bill took I've been training for 50 years. I'm in the Hall of Fame. Basically, I know how to train these kind too. He just doesn't have as many of those types in the barn. And he won last night. The last race was a 5.5 furlong first time starter, or maybe second. No, I think it was the first time starter. Won 5.5 on the turf last night in a similar manner, coming from way behind. But that was an excellent performance. Governor Sam ran well. The pace was very, very fast. Governor Sam attended that pace. Looked like home free at that mid stretch. But this is a nice horse of Bill's. 2 for 2 on the grass right now, and another one that I'm sure is heading for the big money at Kentucky Downs. You kind of got to get eligible for those stakes. They overfilled because of the money in there, and you have to kind of qualify with big wins or on money earned. And he needed that win to get to the one next week or next month, and that's what happened.
Spiced up there. And as you say, won the nightcap yesterday. Crushing My Exacta, which ran second and third at decent price. At the top of the stretch, I'm like, oh, I've got that. And then his horse, just like that, came late.
It seems like everybody I know needed that Joe Shop first timer in the last race to make a big score. At least a couple of guys.
Who got away at a price. And it seemed like there was a little bit of buzz there. And I liked the 6 horse I liked, and that was a price, like I said.
We had good works on Joe's horse, and I know a few of the clockers needed him to win that last race, and it looked like he was home free. He was kind of green through the stretch. He was out in the outside fence almost, and then came back on again after getting passed, and just wasn't quite good enough. Bill Sauce had too much momentum, but it was a big price. I was surprised. 7-8 to 1 on him. And Bill Sauce was the same, 7 to 1, I think.
Seemed like a little, the whole, and I had that one underneath those other two, but then I played the triple now. All right, let's do a little preview now. Today's stake, the New York Stallion Series at the Cab Callaway. Yesterday, the Statue of Liberty, but the Cab Callaway this afternoon. I pulled up a replay. The guys don't have to show it, however, because I pulled up a replay of Friend of the Devil. And when you sat down, you said you thought that one might scratch, and we subsequently looked, and your colleague Dave Grundy, in fact, tweeted out a little bit of a temperature. So Friend of the Devil will not go. I was taking a shot, though, in this race with the number 5, George Briggs, lightly raced for Chad Brown, IRAD on board. So I'm perfectly happy. I was there to begin with. I thought Butter was interesting for Eddie F's. What are your thoughts in the Stallion Series?
Well, obviously the race changed completely. Not only is the favorite out, but the speed of the race is out. So it's going to be interesting to see who's going to step up and maybe take that position or that early initiative in here. River of Time was the horse I thought maybe could spring the upset, even with Friend of the Devil in here. Chad Summers turned this horse back to 6 furlongs and was second to Friend of the Devil last time, but was meeting him on a more even playing field, stretching to a mile. And he does seem to think that running him 6 furlongs for the first time last time may put a little more speed into him. I wouldn't be surprised to see this horse closer up early, if not fighting for the lead, or in his case, hopefully not fighting if you're going to be going for the lead. And of course, the morning lines and all these prices on all these horses now are going to all drop down because Friend of the Devil, the 7-5 is out. George Briggs, obviously the one to beat, a new face in the category. Only stakes race, was a good effort against Open Company, chased home Me Bago. I think he will definitely wind up the big favorite. Now, River of Time maybe will be the second choice, and it might come down to those two.
River of Time. Chad Summers is having a nice meet with limited starters, owned by our friend Riley Valente, so certainly rooting for
that. 3 wins and 2/3 and 5 starts.
Yeah, he's doing
can't
all
do
right.
much better than that.
Tomorrow, it is the Smart and Fancy, 5.5 on the grass for the Phillies and Mayors. And in here, I pulled up a replay of Future Is Now, the logical choice. Comes in having won 2 of the last 3 and 4 of the last 5. But that includes this Caress. We're going to take a look at that. That was just a few weeks ago, right up here at Saratoga. Future Is Now is going to be the number 7 horse for Mike Trombetta. Paco Lopez scheduled to come back in town to ride. He's been on board going back, about 8 starts or so. So I had Future Is Now on top as the logical play. But Ellen J, interesting. Twirling Queen could be a player. What did you see in the Smart and Fancy?
Yeah, I mean, his Future Is Now is just so good right now.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't win by a lot, though, so there's not a lot of margin for error. Paco just rides him unbelievably good. He seems to get him the right trip every single time, and he gets there every single time, except that one hiccup on his form when Pipsy beat him, but she got in a little bit of trouble that day. I think Twirling Queen may again prove the one to beat, the one to catch. Didn't get beat all that far last time. Goes from Amicio back to Luis Saez, who was actually one on this horse from off the pace, and maybe that's the tactic she's going to take today. Ellen J, like you said, has three wins in a row in the form, 3 for 3 on the grass, but all those races were back. Last year, she's been off for quite some time. Her 1 stake win came against straight 3-year-olds. She's never won a stake or even run a stake against older horses. And Sunday Girl, 4 in a row, 5 of the last 6 for Katie Davis and David Duggan, but a lot tougher competition today, I think. Last time was her first time on the grass, and she proved she likes it a lot. Yeah. But that was a state-bred race, so she's going to be stepping up, and Company's going to have to run a little bit better, I think. And she's going to be a pace presence as well. But I'm going to take a shot. I'm going to pick Twirling Queen today to reverse that last decision over Future Is Now.
Yeah, interesting. Sunday Girl, 7 for 9. She's going to be an interesting runner in here. And I will say Ellen J, cleverly named from Ellen J Foxwoods. And so the name, a little play on that. Give them points on that one. Coming up on Saturday, and you wrote about it, so I'll let you talk about it before we get into the race itself. Schwarzenegger is also entered today. And from the way you were writing and what Wesley Ward said, given the weather, we'll probably see Schwarzenegger today.
Yes. Right now, he just needs to run this horse. He's already been scratched 3 times, twice because of weather, once because of a little injury he had the morning of the race. They had to take him out. He says if he's going to be the horse we think he is, it really doesn't matter right now which one of these races he runs in and he wins. And he doesn't want to take the chance that if he scratches here and we do get some rain Saturday and that race comes off the turf, he's going to have to scratch him again. He is going to run today, not in the Skidmore. And his stablemate, though, Gypsy Art, who's also a first-time starter, he said he will run in the Skidmore. And he said he's got a lot of talent, too. Not quite the same. He's over the moon about Schwarzenegger. He's one of the most touted horses here. He's probably going to be around 3 to 5 in that race this afternoon. But he will not run in the Skidmore unless something like really crazy happens between now and about 3 o'clock today.
Yeah, so I mean, check obviously, but it looks like he'll go today as opposed to Saturday. I pulled up a replay of Sandal's Song. Sandal's Song, we're going to watch a win in the Royal Palm, which was the career debut for this one down at Gulfstream. That then gives you a win and you're in kind of situation for Royal Ascot. George Weaver brought this one over there and subsequently ran 3rd over in England after this start. I think he's interesting this afternoon. Tough critic, similar scenario. Won first start at Keeneland, went over to Royal Ascot for George Weaver. Also an interesting player in Spirit of New York. Adam Rice, who has such a good record here at Saratoga, brings that one in from Presque Isle. But the career debut is a nice win here at Saratoga earlier. What are your thoughts beyond Schwarzenegger, who may not run in the Skidmore?
It's an interesting race. There's a couple of maidens that have won off the screen that are very fast. One of them is Monster coming in for Jose D'Angelo and Arundel. The other is Bobrovsky, who what was similarly impressive winning his debut, but that was on the dirt. And he was supposed to have a work on the grass to prep for this last week. Something went awry. He wasn't able to do it. So he's going to come in here a little bit of an unknown as far as the grass goes. And the two of them, looking at their running style and looking at their last races, might just cancel one another out on the front end if they both get zipping along too quick early. And Todd Fletcher's horse Malice has a little bit of speed too. It looks like the two Weaver horses, you got to give them the edge. It's hard to separate the two of them. I was down there with Sandal Song, one in Florida, obviously very impressive. Ran extremely well in the Norfolk. And Tough Critic, a very impressive maiden win coming from off the pace. In the race in the Windsor Castle at Ascot, he broke really well, and he got closer to the pace than maybe he wanted to be. Still didn't get beat that far. Got beat like about 6 lengths. Finished. He beat 12 horses. It was a 23-horse field. Finished 11th. So it wasn't that bad an effort. And I think George thinks he's going to be a better horse if he can sit off today. And with the prospective very fast pace, that might play into his hands. Workout-wise, I thought Sandal Song maybe is training a little bit better right now. That from what I've seen over on the turf course, prepping for this, than Tough Critic. And, George had No Name Mets a couple of years ago, who also won the Royal Prom, went to Ascot. It was a little bit of a disappointment there. Came back after that, won 2 stakes, and ran 4th in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf Sprint. And I think George is hoping the same scenario will happen with one or both of these two coming back from Ascot this year.
Yeah, I agree. They both look pretty good. The Ascot trips turned out decently for Sandal Song. Going to be interesting this afternoon or Saturday afternoon. That leads into the Alabama. A short field, but kind of a select field, and there are some interesting runners in here. I had Mark on yesterday, Mark Cassie, and he has obviously high hopes and expectations for both of his runners. I said to him, I'm really intrigued to see what Nitrogen does, but I have been on Lacara going back to the seasonal debut down at the Suncoast. Going to pull up a replay of the Acorn win on the front end all the way around, with Good Cheer winding up 5th in there as the short-priced favorite. I off the Kentucky Oaks win, I'm looking for a rebound for Good Cheer, but at Lacara, as I say, I've liked Nitrogen. Margie's Intention is maybe one that I'd play around with if I was looking for a price, but what do you see in the Alabama?
Well, the one thing I see is not a lot of speed, except for maybe Queen Esteka. I don't know what to expect from this horse coming in from Sweden. Maybe she will show some pace, although I look at some of the lines on the limited info you get. It says in rear, in one race and held up and like came from behind also then. I mean, Lacara should be loose in an easy lead, and when she gets loose in an easy lead, she's really tough. I loved her in the Kentucky Oaks. She had the best work to me of maybe any horse Derby Oaks week, or certainly any Oaks horse going into the race. I played her, and she got into just a suicidal speed duel, but she validated what I had seen from her back then when she came back here for the Acorn, and she does look loose on the lead here. I haven't seen quite the same in her works from her here now as I did going into the Kentucky Oaks back then, but she did train well for the Acorn and ran to it, and she's going to be tough to catch if she gets loose. Good Cheer obviously did not have a great trip in the Acorn, and it was a wet track. It was kind of a funny track that day. You could probably put a line through it. She seems to be training forwardly here coming into this race, so I guess you could give her a mulligan for that. They're definitely the two to beat. Nitrogen, the big question mark. I get why Mark is taking a shot here. That Race in the Wonder, again, from just a pure numbers speed standpoint, the sheet numbers she got was just incrementally better than anything she's ever run on the turf. So he just decided, why not take a chance? I've got nothing to lose. I could run her in the Alabama. If it doesn't work out, there's plenty of turf races. I could, run her back in as the year moves forward. So we'll see what happens there. Obviously, her styles are similar too, but she's not going to get Lacara's way. Those two are going to run their individual races, and it'll be Lacara in front, Nitrogen trying to come from just off the pace. But the pace advantage Lacara has just seems to make her hard to play against with any confidence anyway.
My question mark was the distance at which it's interesting when you look at this race. Nobody's tried the 1.25 miles except for the Swedish horse. And I don't know whether you can look this up, but I wonder if there's ever been a Saratoga winner who had a previous start in Sweden.
Yeah, that's a good question. And again, the distance, could be a factor, and you got to like the fact that she's at least tried it and handled it okay. I mean, she was 1-5 in one race, 2-5 in the other. I'm guessing the competition is a long way away from what she's going to be facing here. You're right. I mean, LeCarry does have to go an extra quarter mile further than she's ever been. She looked in the Acorn like she could have gone a lot further, and no one was going to catch her. So if she can just relax and Dylan can slow it down enough, it's just a big edge for her. And she's obviously a quality horse.
All right, Mike, appreciate the visit as always. And again, we'll give you a chance to tout the workout report because you guys do a great job, and still a couple of more weeks up here at Saratoga. And then beyond Saratoga, you're going to go downstate with it as well?
That's the plan at the moment. We're trying to figure out just how far into Aqueduct to go. We have one issue that the clocker that we've been using at Aqueduct, at Belmont, he's no longer available to us, so it leaves a big void there. It's just Dave and I and Donald are up here. I'll be heading down to Belmont in a few weeks, but it's just we have to decide if we've got enough info to make it worthwhile to keep going or not. We certainly have a lot of info. The horses coming out of here
this meet,
but there are a lot of horses that are working at Belmont, and I don't like the fact that we can't cover that for a couple of weeks. It leaves a lot of gaps in the report. So I mean, people have to understand that the one thing it's hard to do is find people that can do that job. I mean, not only are willing to do it and get up at 5 a.m. and 7 days a week, but it's a hard job to clock. And then the hardest job for me is to fill in the information. It takes a long time to put all that data into the computer once the cards are drawn. And you got to get some real dedicated people that want to do it, and people that are capable of just the clocking end of it too. So we're going to come out with a decision in a couple of weeks of where to proceed after Saratoga.
But obviously, the remainder of the meet, Saratoga workout report is still available at DRF.com.
Obviously, we'll go to the end here, and as Travis Day, the report is usually this thick, and the 2-year-old races are the races that most people want to see, and it's the ones that take the most work because we try to at least put 3 or 4 works on each first-time starter. You get a race with 10 in the field and 6 also 16 horses. It could take you an hour and a half just to go through that field and fill in all the info. So, but yes, the answer is we'll be here through the end of the meet, and then a TBD for Aqueduct.
But again, for the remainder of this meet, workout report, always highly regarded. Gives you a little information that everybody doesn't have, and that could be the edge you need. Check it out at drf.com. Mike, appreciate the visit.
Thank you.
Oh, and congratulations on the win Saturday
night.
Thank you. All right, we'll take a break. He's in the house. It's the Brooklyn Cowboy, Kevin Cox. We'll do a little handicapping a little bit later on. Dave Donk. Stay tuned.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
For centuries, the bond between horse and human has been forged in trust and hands-on care. Thoroughbred racing is combining that tradition with cutting-edge technology to raise our standards even higher. New investments in wearable biometrics, advanced imaging, and AI help optimize our safety programs.
That opening quarter mile was a quick one.
Every day, a commitment to improving their care. So win or lose, it's safety that runs first. To learn more, visit safetyrunsfirst.com.
Welcome back, Racing Across America. As always, we appreciate your tuning in, and we always appreciate the bi-weekly visit from our friend Kevin Cox, the Brooklyn Cowboy. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Happy to have you on board. I'm well. On another nice morning. Again, a little humid as it was yesterday. But I said earlier, and you must agree, lucked out yesterday as the rainstorm was like that. It was like 5 minutes and probably needed a little water. But
there was
the rest
supposed to
of
be a
the day
follow-up to that too. Afterwards,
there was, and we lucked out. And as I said earlier, remainder of the day, I talked to 2 or 3 people who were 5 miles away, and they got a ton of rain. So it worked out well here yesterday. Speaking of yesterday, I want to start out, and when you sat down, I said I checked out your Twitter feed, and I know annually folks can check out kind of a tribute to your father that you post every year, and folks can look at your selections page from yesterday to see that. But I also pulled up a couple of pictures you had with the group around the plaque and the plaque itself in honor of your father. So I'll give you a chance to remember him and how I assume he was the one who introduced you to horse racing.
Yeah, I mean, I think a good chunk of people that are at the track started out by coming with their parents or their family
absolutely.
or something like that. So the column seems to grow in popularity every year because it keeps resonating with people, because there's always new generations of people bringing their kids to the track. And I basically repeat the yearly homage every year. But what's weird is I'm still finding grammatical errors in it, which is driving me positively insane 13 years later. I'm like, oh, that comma shouldn't be there. Or is it minutia or minutiae and blah, blah, blah. And a good friend of mine, Dennis, he'd been texting me with one. He said, dude, you got to correct this. Were you drunk when you wrote this? I'm like, nobody's corrected me in 12 years. Now I'm finding mistakes left and right. But no, it's
with friends like those.
No, I actually have 2 or 3 proofreaders that read my column every day, and they send me corrections in the morning. It's outstanding. But it's very popular, and there's an audio version of it too, which people like, which I did for Our Real American Stories a few years back. Sets of the sappy music in the background with pregnant pauses and all that. But I go there in the morning, I give it the shine, put the flowers there. And then for the last few years, I get there and there's already like a newspaper with a note on it. And, you know, the same person every year because it's the same handwriting. So they get there after I do my job and before the first race. That happens every year. And then, as you can see, we do a toast, me, Jack Knowlton, Jimmy Ferraro, my friend Angel from the Gate Crew. And my good friend Paul as well. So we do that toast, and then I have the Lobster Fest. We reminisced last night.
I was envious looking at the lobster dinner.
Yeah, it's a bear. I mean, I'm body sore today just from getting up and down and moving all around. But it's twin lobsters, and we replicate the meal exactly that the weather vane used to serve every year. You know, but I was walking around the backyard yesterday thinking, would he have made 90 years old? I mean, he was a healthy cat, walked 7 miles a day. I don't know. Would he have made 90? So let me go to the Big Red Spring and have the traditional drink. And I go there, and they have a party tent back there, and I see big balloons, a 9 and a 0 hanging up. I'm like, holy crap. I go over there. It's a guy from the Bronx, a horse racing guy. He's a bettor, retired school counselor. And his grandson said, could he come back a little later? They're roasting him. I'm like, this is something that totally would have happened to my father. You know, the guy's got a good sense of humor and everything. Went back there. His name was Joe. And talk about science. I mean, I'm thinking of when my father had made 90. So I asked this guy if he would adopt me for the day. Just adopt me for today. You know, you share the same birthday, you know. It's just amazing. They're both born on the same day. And that kind of made the day, along with the comments about on Twitter, how it resonates with people and thank you and blah, blah, blah. And that's easy lifting for me.
Yeah. And again, people can check out the column if they go to your Twitter feed and link to your picks page from yesterday. Nice tribute to your dad. And so good job there. And I saw the picture of the 90 balloon. And I thought, oh, that is a wild coincidence.
Yeah.
Wind up. All right, let's take a look at some of the action for this afternoon. Let's kick things off in race number 4.
No, 7, 8, 10.
Oh, I wrote down 4, 8, 10.
My mistake.
So
Maybe I sent it 4. I don't know.
oh, I don't know. I don't know either. But I'll take the mistake. But that's easy to just for me to turn to race number 7 to kick off the conversation here. 7th race today, of course, is the New York Stallion Series. And I don't know whether you noted, but Friend of the Devil is a likely scratch, according to Dave Grenig. I was already on number 5 in here, George Briggs from Chad Brown. But River of Time, Mike Welsh, thought that one was interesting. Butter from Eddie F's. What do you see in the New York Stallion Series?
I was all over Friends of the Devil until the scratch. But actually, now with the scratch, I think it's a better race, betting-wise. You don't have 2 prohibitive favorites. River of Time, I'm going to get to in a second. But George Briggs has to be used. But if you were ever to take a stand against the Chad Brown horse, back-to-back layoff lines, not seen since March 1st, and wasn't stabled up here. The horse has been working out at Fairlawn and Monmouth. So this horse really probably isn't at the top of Chad's pecking list of important horses for important races this meet. Yes, by default, the showing against open foes. But if you were ever to take a stand against a Chad Brown favorite, this could be a horse that you could find faults with. And the rest of the field, like Mike had alluded to, there's not a lot of speed in here. I landed on number 1, Coach Case. There's a solid formulator stat in play, as Miguel is 5 for 8 with turf routers who hit the board less than 7 weeks ago at 7-1 or less, not getting Lasix. It's 5 for 8 with a $5 ROI. Be forgiving of the last. It was his first start on the ground with some give to it, and draws snugly after breaking the fourth, and the 5 holes, gets the inside. Second choice, I'm going to turn the page here, was number 7, I'm Due. This one was heading in the right direction, going back to the Hallandale races down the Gulfstream, 58, 68, 66. Then the wheels came off a little bit in the turf route afterwards. That could be a little bit of an excuse because it was encountered a bit of trouble that day, and plus, the numbers can't keep going up forever. So you have to just throw in an excuse for a clunker once in a while. You're getting Santana, I guess my only major winning prognostication for the meet, who's having just a fantastic meet at 15-1. So if you can get back to that prior form, worth throwing in. And I also threw in River of Time. Chad Summers is 5-3-0-2 this meet. Who knows where the ceiling is? If you draw circles around the buyer speed figures, you're looking at 60, 62, 77. You do the old upwards arrow. And 2 wins and a placing in his only 3 starts with Junior. So I went 1-7-4 in that race.
I like it. Race number 8, Maiden Claimers, 7 furlongs the trip. I thought Proposition from the outside was a way to tell tepidly off the last couple. Same with Freedom Maker for me, tepidly off the last couple. Seeker's Hope. Also, the last couple of races, number-wise, are okay, but the finishing positions, it's a little bit of a puzzle. How did you see the 8th?
Well, it's funny. I see you grimace a little bit with Preposition, and that horse is my 3rd choice. I wrote terrible co-favorite, but you have to use. You know, the horse is dropping down. I'm going backwards here. This is my 3rd choice. Dropping down for the 3rd straight time, and you'd be remiss in not using, but hard to get too enthusiastic.
Yeah.
Except for the cut back 2 turns to 1. Reverting to my top pick, I landed on number 2, Seeker's Hope. And if there was a play of the day today, which we normally do Fridays and Saturdays, that would be this horse. And I would sign up for 15-1 right now. I don't think you're getting 15-1. I think this horse is going to be single digits at the first flash. Drops in class 30,000 for Mark Henning. And he's on the mark when going turf to dirt with maiden claiming horses getting Lasix at 15-1 or less, or 39 to 89 days, as he's 5 for 5 with that stat, with 4 of the winners coming back double digits. Now, Mark's usually very loyal when it comes to retaining jockeys, unless they did something stupid last time out. Mirage didn't ride the horse badly, it just didn't pan out, but he gets Carmouche today, so he's making the switch. Mirage is on a lesser caliber horse. The prorated speed figure, or prorated Tomlinson figures, is tremendous here. The Turf Tomlinson is only 240 some odd, 250, and the one for the distance, for the dirt, is precipitously higher than that. We like to give a runner 2 chances under a particular set of circumstances to proving themselves, and as this is only the second time he's raced on a fast track. I'm all in. This is the play of the day at 15-1 for sure. Second choice is number 6, Levitating, Jose Ortiz. Quite the surprise this meet. I expected him to do well, but I didn't think he had the New York business to be competing for the riding title. I did the math here. The connections have paid about $8,800 in expenses since the horse was last in action. So even with a placing and a claim today, they lose money. So the horse is going to be fully cranked up. Spoke with Tom Amos yesterday. He's quite the gentleman, pretty engaging guy, very nice guy. Kept in jail, so was eligible to be dropped down 33% since the purchase. And that's it. Selections 2, 6, 10 in that race.
And ninth race today, optional claimer.
10th.
Oh, okay. So I really wrote down the wrong numbers.
Maybe I texted the wrong numbers.
The 10th, I'm guessing I probably wrote them down. 10th race today, maiden claimer, mile and a 16th on the grass. I went out to the logical deemer for Cherie DeVoe, but Nigel for Miguel Clement in the second start. Wind Dancer, 13 starts so far, no wins, but we have Dave Donk right in the green room. I think Wind Dancer is very interesting in here. How did you see the 10th?
We see it pretty much the same way. Nigel, as you say, second time out, gets off the rail a little bit. I like when horses get off the rail second time out because that's a tough spot no matter what the distance is, whether it's a route or a sprint. No world beaters in here and encountered a bit of trouble first time out. But looking at the race, there's not a lot of speeds. I don't know how it's going to set up. I figured Joel is going to try to get to the lead or forwardly placed a little bit. But my third choice, Deemer, dropping down, first time Lasix, second off the layoff. I would not be surprised to see Franco have this one forwardly placed as well. I think the pace, the opening quarter, is going to determine the entire race. Now, I better put Wind Dancer in there with Honk If You Like Donk on the sidelines, but slides in 9 slots off a career best effort. And even if the horse regresses a little off that, even if you want to say, maybe not that good, should still be in the top 3 here. So going 7, 1, 10 in the finale with a sensible selection on top.
I like it. And before we let you go, when you sat down, you said you had some thoughts in the Alabama, and I think your thoughts are interesting. Go for it.
Well, you have 2 uncoupled entries in there, and people are going to be honing in on the Cassie horses and the other ones. And I went with the horse from Sweden via Maiden, via Norway. You know, you alluded before. I don't think we've seen that up here. You don't see that in thoroughbred racing anywhere. And harness racing, you do.
Yeah.
Harness racing, you see it all the time. But that's something that I've never seen before. But if you look at the times of those races, they're pretty solid. The competition could be a little suspect in a few of them. But I think the race could set up nicely. And I have no problem with taking Joel at 12-1 morning line.
Yeah, won the UAE Oaks, which I think is legit. Folks are familiar with that. Interesting.
Bettors have a tendency to ignore running lines they don't understand. They'll just gloss over it, So you're going to get more value because of that and because of the bigger names.
Yeah, no question about it. Kevin, appreciate it. Again, folks can read the tribute to your father over on your wagering website with the pick thoughts, but also the annual tribute. And again, follow you on Twitter as well. You can see the pictures from yesterday, including your adopted dad for a day yesterday out by the Big Red Spring. Appreciate the visit. Good luck today.
And plays of the day tomorrow and Saturday also for us.
So keep up with that as well. All right. We will wrap up this segment and come back with Dave Donk. Again, nice win in the New York Stallion Series yesterday. We'll talk about that and more. Stay tuned. It's been referred to as possibly the best equine-themed gift shop on the planet. Impressions of Saratoga. Impressions of Saratoga, celebrating the Saratoga and equestrian lifestyles. It's your #1 choice for Saratoga souvenirs, apparel, and gift shopping. We have gifts for the entire family, and we're pet-friendly too. Visit us online at impressionssaratoga.com or come on down. Impressions of Saratoga, 368 Broadway, downtown Saratoga.
Why just watch the races when you can be in the middle of the action? For nearly 20 years, Bonaventure Stables' share-based ownership program has made thoroughbred ownership affordable for the everyday fan. Ownerships of 5 and 10% are now available on a nice selection of horses. As a partial owner with Bonaventure Stables, you'll enjoy all the benefits afforded every owner. Visit with your horse in the private stable area. Greet the trainers and jockeys in the paddock. And when your horse wins, savor the moment in the winner's circle at Saratoga, Belmont, Aqueduct, or wherever you bring home the prize. Based in historic Saratoga Springs, Bonaventure Stables has been training winners and creating memories since 2005. Learn more, see available horses, and meet our team at bonaventurestables.com.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. As promised before the break, went in the winner's circle yesterday after the nice win by Trail of Gold, and I asked Dave Donk to come over for a nice visit. Always like to have Dave sit at the desk. Good morning.
Morning, Seth. Thanks for having me.
Happy to have you, particularly after the nice win yesterday. Before we get to that, again, I always say there are new folks. We've talked about this before, obviously, when we've had you, but if you have new folks involved, talk a little bit about how you got in the game. And you're originally from the Finger Lakes region, right? But did you spend time at Finger Lakes, as a developing horseman?
If you research it on Equivase, yes. Yeah, I grew up, I'm from Clifton Springs, which is right 15 miles from Finger Lakes. Went to high school there, Mid Lakes. So grew up as a kid. About the time I was 8, my dad owned his first racehorse. And then he bred a couple mares, and we had a little farm. And so I kind of got hooked into horses then. By the time I was about 14, I realized this is what I want to do. So always pursued it. When I was about 19, my dad realized, well, if this is what you're going to do, you might as well train mine. So for 5 years, I trained at Finger Lakes. You did everything but ride them. And then after that, I had a mutual friend, Billy Wilmot, who's from the Saratoga area. His family was from Rochester. His father had owned horses. Bill had trained horses at one time and became a veterinarian. But he was mutual friends with assistant of Woody Stevens, Sandy Bruno. And at that time, Phil Gleaves just went on his own in 85, the winter of 84, 85, spring of 85. Phil was going on his own. And there was an opening, and Bill had let me know about it. And it just happened to be that winter. I spent the winter in Florida grooming horses for another trainer, and went over to Hialeah, met Woody and Sandy, got hired, and didn't go back home. And that was in 85. So I've been here I've been in New York 40 years now.
And a New York fixture, certainly. And yeah, you were working with Woody Stevens. He, before I became a regular here in the press box was Woody. So I didn't, what kind of a guy was he like?
Listen, probably one of the greatest universities I could have gone to. I would say I didn't go to college, so I went to school, Woody Stevens University. So yeah, listen, I was really fortunate. I worked for him for 5.5 years until his health deteriorated and he had to reduce the size of the stable. I was there the last 2 Belmonts of the 5 in a row, around some phenomenal horses, clients, everybody in the game, press, you guys. But Woody was phenomenal. He ate, drank, and slept horses. He knew a little bit about other sports, but not much. It was all about racing. But he had a sixth sense about things. And it was just phenomenal to be around that kind of trainer, those kind of horses. And it's no different than someone like Todd and all the guys that are around Wayne Lucas. It's the greatest education you can get. And it gives you so much confidence, leading into a career if you're going to do it on your own.
And, you alluded to it, but for folks who aren't familiar, newer people to the game, everybody kind of agrees. There's one record that will never be broken: 5 straight Belmonts. And that was at least one of them, I think, ran in the Met Mile the previous Monday, right? And then won the Belmont.
Cielo.
Yeah,
won the Met Mile on Monday. Right. 5 days later, he won the Belmont. So, and that's the biggest thing we can talk about. The game, what's changed is we just don't run horses that often anymore. So, everybody needs time in between races, 6, 8, 10 weeks, and even lesser horses sometimes. So, listen, you can run them and maybe not overtrain them, but that's where the game has changed a lot.
I was saving this for the end, but that was a great segue to Awad, who we were talking about this one earlier on the handicapping show. My co-host Anthony Mormino has the mind of the history of the game, and so we were talking about this horse, and he was mentioning some of the nice victories. But what was notable to me, because I pulled up Awad's career profile on Equibase, 70 starts, 14 wins, 10 seconds, 11 thirds, and over $3 million, wrapping up the career in 1998. But 70 starts for that one.
I'm going to say it was probably 72 because I don't think the 2 from Japan are on there.
Oh, you're probably they list them, but you might be right.
We took them to the Japan Cup
United
twice.
States. Yeah.
So I mean, I don't think the question is always asked: are horses more durable than they were then, or less durable? And today, I don't think that's true. I just think it's a different philosophy of running and versus training horses. So listen, it was a phenomenal horse. It's a situation where he was a colt, but he didn't have the great stud value. And basically, the comment at the time was he is worth what he can earn. But he earned a lot of money.
Yeah, $3 million in 1998. Yeah.
I'm not sure what that prorates into today, but so.
Okay. And Mormino actually mentioned it. I'd forgotten about it, but I heard it before. He was featured on your answering machine for a while, right?
Yeah, listen, he won the Arlington Million. It was $1 million race. It was $60,000 commission. Faye and I were married the year before. We bought a house in Floral Park, and that commission went to the down payment on the house. And so if you call the house, you have reached the house at a Awad ball.
I like that. Very good. Let's go to current times and yesterday, because we'll watch the stretch run here. This was really a nice win for Trail of Gold. Irad Ortiz on board. Trail of Gold 6-1 in here, but makes a nice late run. Again, the number 3 horse to get it done in the New York Stallion Series. $150,000 up for grabs. 6th in the Susie O'Kane in the previous start, back in the middle of July. But in the winner's circle yesterday, you said coming out of the O'Kane, it sounded like Irad was kind of high on the horse and had some confidence, obviously jumping back on board yesterday.
Yeah, I haven't had the chance to watch the replay, so I'm just watching it there, seeing when she switched her leads and finished up really well. So she doesn't break as sharp as you'd like to see one. Last time she didn't break as well, was squeezed from both sides and was really far back. I thought on a turf course early in the meet that you needed to be tactical. So she had a lot to do. And listen, Irad, there was a lot of great riders here, just a phenomenal rider. He's leading rider for a reason, but I know him, obviously have a great relationship with him, came back and, was apologetic. It's not his fault, the trip, but he really thought that she was as good as anyone in the race. So, listen, you're real fortunate to get him to ride him back in this spot. And I think, like I said yesterday, he had a lot of confidence in her. It gave us a lot of confidence. Yeah. And he's done a great job. He's kind of teaching her how to run. He's taken her farther back than she was in her career. I kind of let him do what he wants, but he's teaching her to run. And I'm going to go back. I mentioned it in a text later that evening to Ramon Dominguez, and he used to ride a filly for me called Hessenite, and she developed a big turn of foot. And Irad's like Ramon. He's a very good rider. He's able to teach a young horse and to do this, and it really separates turf horses. That turn of foot is dangerous, and if they develop it like she has a little bit here, I think she can improve and go forward.
Yeah, Ramon, I love to get him to sit in here. Because he is very analytical, and it's fun to hear him talk about the days and trying to teach horses and whatnot. And yeah, maybe I'll get him in the later in the meet because we had him in the other day with Umberto talking about the basketball game and then the chaplaincy. But I also talked about the road race he was in up in Lake Placid.
Last man standing. Yeah, that's
27 hours and 112 miles. And I said to him, so you're going to do it again? No, I barely got the sentence.
Yeah, he's very competitive, great
he
athlete. He's such a great ambassador for our sport.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, as great a rider as he was, he's a better person.
I totally agree. My friends from America's Pastime were in the winner's circle too. They bred the horse, and again, that was the New York Stallion Series. So a nice New York bred. You have a nice New York bred. Just have so many options. And again, you were in the Susie O'Kane and won for 150 yesterday in New York Stallion Series. Got anything penned in going forward?
Yeah, well, listen, those obviously we talk about here in New York breds, just how valuable they are, and she's by a sire that stands in the state, Solomini, who I think is a really solid sire. As a trainer, I like them, and I think you're seeing runners. They run turf or dirt, so there's so many opportunities. She's in a little different situation at the moment because now she's not eligible for the 2 other than. So she is 3. With New York breds, your choices are 3 and up. And then there are a few open stakes for 3-year-old fillies. She'll probably have to dip her toe in deeper water in the fall. But it'll test her a little bit, and we'll see what we have. But at the end of the season, she'll get put away. Yeah, I think she's got a chance to have a nice career as a really solid New York bred and maybe a little bit better.
Yeah, given what we saw yesterday, and you kind of alluded to it earlier in the chart, in fact, says off a step slow. But with that turn of foot now and Irad on board, how concerned were you with the slow start?
Not yesterday because it's a smaller field, and he wasn't really that far back. And, down the backside, even the 5/8 pole, you could tell he was sitting there. She was in his hands. He was kind of high in the saddle. He had horse underneath him. Yeah. And it was just a question, is he going to get the response? And he usually does out of most of them.
Again, it was a really nice win, so congratulations there all around. And you mentioned your father before. Am I correct? Was that your dad in the winner's circle?
Yeah, my dad owns a piece of this one.
It all comes full circle.
It's crazy because over the years he's always asked me, and I've kind of just blown it off. And listen, he's financially stable. He certainly could have. This one just came about, so he owns, like you said, 10%, and we've got another one that he does. It's a great kick because he has a lot of fun with it. He and my mom were my biggest supporters. When I got to work, I got a job for Woody to come here. It was a phenomenal opportunity, and I've been able to stay here and to make it. They just live by the Finger Lakes area, and, he's makes his trips to Saratoga every year, multiple times. So it was a lot of fun for him to be here. I know he got a big kick out of it.
Yeah, no, he certainly looked that way, understandably so.
And as I tell my sisters, I'm just spending their inheritance. So. Although now they're making it back.
Well, I was about to say, you get a couple like this one, you're all right with them, I'm sure. You also, when I get trainers in here, I like to talk a little kind of nuts and bolts of the game. You had a maiden claiming winner a little bit earlier in the meet. Talk a little bit about the claiming game, particularly up here, because I sit up in the press box and the Equibase guys call out, after claiming races, oh, that one had, 4-way shake and this person got. So the claiming box is popular up here. If you're running claiming horses, talk about, because I've heard other trainers talk about it at other, like Oaklawn, the claims are correct. And you lose a horse and you want to replenish the butt, but it's tough to claim back because everybody's jumping in.
Yeah. The rules are different in every jurisdiction, every state. So like a lot of claiming activity in Oaklawn, I'm not sure the reclaim rule there. A lot of activity in Kentucky. Here it's really difficult for a smaller guy to replace him, and that's where the problem lies. So sometimes it's another detail, another conversation, the rating system, like in Europe or in Canada sometimes, where it's not a claiming race, but there's ratings, level you can run at. So sometimes it's hard to run a horse where they belong to win, but people want to run here. So sometimes I call it customer service, but you run them over their head a little bit. You're hoping they get a check, but you're not trying to lose them. Because that smaller guy that owns 1 or 2 horses, it's really hard to claim one back. And there was a shake yesterday on one horse. I think there was 19 ways. So, I mean, you have 5% chance of getting at that horse. So it is an issue. Here, a trainer is only allowed to claim one horse out of a race for only one owner. But I'll give you an example. The Kentucky rule is an owner is allowed to claim 3 horses out of a race, and a trainer can claim as many as he wants with different owners. So
which, to me, seems to make more sense.
Well, it's how crazy different the rules are.
Yeah.
So here we are very restrictive. So it's always talked about and it would have to be approval by the gaming commission. I'm not sure where everyone would stand on it, but it's really hard for a small guy to claim a horse, lose one, and then replace that horse.
Yeah, and I wanted to bring that up because, again, there's a lot of the nuts and bolts of the game that I think a lot of people aren't familiar with. I get owners and trainers in here all the time who say another aspect that I don't think people are aware of. I got my horse ready to run. He's knocking down the barn. There's just no race for him to go in. And so you kind of have to then shop for maybe another spot that isn't optimal, but your horse is just ready to go.
Well, and that issue goes back to what I said earlier. It's not that there aren't always races. Races don't fill, and people don't run quite as often. Listen, I'll be honest, kudos to the racing office. They're just trying to make 10 races go with the biggest fields possible. And listen, we play under different rules, safety and welfare, which is great. We should be. And everyone's more cautious, but horses run a lot less than they used to. So there are less opportunities sometimes.
Yeah. But again, I think a lot of fans don't realize the nuts and bolts that go on and you guys have to face every day and deal with, particularly on the claiming side of the game, where there are a lot of other factors as well. One other one I wanted to pull up, I wanted to go back to Belmont at the Big A back in June. We're going to watch an off-the-turfer here. It's going to be Register getting it done. Subsequently, this one finished 4th up here at Saratoga. Again, I believe in an off-the-turfer. But I pulled up Equibase. So I did pull up your name on Equibase because I saw this one had a work just the other day. Can we expect to see maybe Register up here at Saratoga again before the meet ends?
Yeah, I think so. He's a little older horse with his own aches and pains at times. Listen, this race came off the grass, so it was a little easier spot. It was a fast race, so the track was pretty speed favoring. Kudos, it was a great ride by Katie. He's only won twice, and she's had both of his wins. A really fun horse for another longtime client, Bob Spiegel. Ideally he gets to run up here. Yes.
All right. So
the last time, it was a major trainer error. It was too far. 2 mile and an eighth. You needed a van to go that far, the 2 turns. So that was all on me.
Yeah, so. live and learn, as they say. But yeah, perhaps we'll look for that one up here. And Dave, I could have pulled up a WAD victory or whatnot to send you off and go back to some of the major stakes for a nice horse like that, or some of your very other nice horses. But I thought maybe this would be more appropriate, and you and I could both enjoy it. So I'll tell the guys down in the control room it's the last play. We're going to watch the last 4 seconds and see the Jets win the Super Bowl. And you are wearing the Jets cap. When you sat down, we had a little Jets conversation. I also a lifelong Jets fan. I remember the Weeb days, and I had a poster of Joe Namath in my bedroom. I was a quarterback in high school. I didn't wear the white shoes, and I was also left-handed. I was maybe a little more Kenny Stabler than Joe Namath, but I'm glad to see a fellow suffering Jets fan, because when you sat down, we were talking about it, to be a New York City-based team and not have a Super Bowl in the amount of time it's frustrating.
Yeah, listen, we could go on and on. Joe Willie sucked me in. Joe Namath sucked me in. So, listen, I'm a Jet fan. So, I'm loyal. I'm not a front runner. That's what I like to tell people. So you don't change teams from the kids. So it started, we were young. There was a bunch of us, and we used to bet on the games. So I was horrible at it, but everybody had a team, and I remember who those guys had, and that's their team. And every now and then at a class reunion or something, I'll get asked, so are you still a Jet fan? So obviously they're not watching racing much, but yeah. So like I said earlier, the best season's the off season, so we all have hope.
You get to about the halfway point, though, and every year it's like, oh, this could, and then 2 weeks later,
So I love to watch the games. I love the sport. I love the coaching, the GM part of it. Yeah, so I enjoy it. Brutal sport. I enjoy watching it like a lot of people in this country or around the world. But yeah, so we're looking towards the first game of the season. Pittsburgh Steelers.
Always looking forward when you're a Jets fan. But as I say, about mid-season, it starts to go the other way. But we always have our fingers crossed. This year, we'll hope it's the year.
I just want to be a playoff contender.
I'm right with you. I am absolutely right there as well. As I say, a lifelong Jets fan. Dave, appreciate the visit. Always fun to have you back here. But I knew after yesterday we had to pull you in off a nice stakes win yesterday. Trail of Gold. We'll be looking for that one going forward and others as the meet continues. But congratulations yesterday and good luck ahead.
Thanks, Seth. I appreciate it.
All right, we'll wrap things up for this edition of Racing Across America on a Thursday. But again, we'll remind you that tomorrow we're back again, 9 a.m. handicapper support, 10 a.m. for another edition of Racing Across America. We'll see you then. Haven't signed up for a Capital OTB account yet? Now's the time to take advantage of the sign-up bonus. Open up a new account with $200 or more, bet $400 by the end of the month, and receive a bonus $200 into your account. Plus, you can take advantage of everything an OTB account has to offer. Wagering from any device, live streaming, racing info, past performances, online promotions, and more. Sign up today and take advantage of the new account bonus. Details at capitalotb.com.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Oops, my bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
You've been watching Racing Across America. Racing Across America has been brought to you by Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. And the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. When you can't make it to the track, make it to the Clubhouse Racebook.